Stop whatever you're doing right now and pay close attention. There are Christians who make hell tremble the moment they open their eyes in the morning. And there are others the enemy doesn't even bother touching. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 types of Christians the devil fears the most, and also the 5 he doesn't even waste time on. Are you one of them? Stick around and find out. Don't watch this like just another video. Reflect, think, take a stand. If you want to be a Christian with authority, someone who doesn't get shaken by spiritual battles, stay with me until the very end. Every single point is going to open your eyes and strengthen your faith. And trust me, that last one might completely change how you face the enemy's attacks. Let's get straight to the point. The kingdom of darkness shakes when a Christian prays with sincerity, knows the word, walks in faith, and doesn't compromise their principles. But there are also Christians who are distracted, lukewarm, and spiritually lazy. And honestly, the devil doesn't even need to bother with them. They're already out of the fight. In this video, you're gonna understand exactly what makes you a respected target in the spiritual realm and what makes you practically untouchable. Get your heart ready, because what's about to be revealed is gonna shake your faith and flip your lifestyle upside down. The time to wake up is now. Have you ever noticed how the desert scares people? It's dry, lonely, feels like time just stands still there. It's uncomfortable, it's not pretty, and the silence echoes the deepest anxieties in your soul. No shade, no signs of life. Feels like God's voice went silent. But here's the truth. It's in this harsh, dry place that the most powerful warriors of the kingdom are forged. Spiritually speaking, the desert was never a punishment. It's a training ground, a place where God isn't just watching, He's shaping you. He turns down the noise of the world so you can finally hear what He's been trying to fix inside of you. The desert is the school for those who are called to carry the heavy weight of purpose. A lot of people run from the desert thinking it means God has abandoned them. But what most Christians don't realize is the desert isn't the absence of God. It's actually where His presence gets real, raw, and intense. Out there, God doesn't shout. He whispers, and only those who silence the noise of their soul can hear Him. In Isaiah 43:19, He boldly says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." This isn't just about relief from pain. It's a promise of deep transformation. God's not saying He's going to pull you out of the desert right now. He's saying He's going to teach you how to thrive in it. And that changes everything. Because the real Christian, the one the devil truly fears, isn't the one who never suffers. It's the one who suffers with purpose, the one who keeps worshiping through tears, the one who keeps believing even when frustrated, the one who stays obedient even when disappointed with life. The devil straight up doesn't know what to do with someone who turns their pain into an altar, someone who turns scarcity into surrender, someone who takes the little they have and offers it as if it were everything, because they know the value of the offering isn't about quantity, it's about the faith behind it. That's what strategic worship looks like. It's not singing pretty songs when everything's fine. It's lifting your hands when everything feels like it's falling apart. It's declaring, "You are good," in the middle of the valley of the shadow of death. It's trusting that God's silence isn't rejection, it's preparation. The sky might seem quiet, but heaven is never inactive, and hell knows that. That's why hell trembles when it sees a Christian who keeps marching forward even when the ground disappears beneath their feet. Because that kind of Christian doesn't walk by sight, they walk by promise. They know God doesn't fail, even when everything around says otherwise. While a lot of people get lost in the desert, this kind of Christian stays. They plant prayers even when it feels like no one's listening. They water those prayers with real tears, not as a sign of weakness, but as a sign of surrender. And in due time, they reap miracles that can only grow in dry land. Because God loves making rivers spring up in places where the enemy swore there would never be life. And the most beautiful part, this kind of Christian doesn't just survive the desert, they come out of it carrying living water for others who are thirsty. So here's today's challenge, straight up and practical. Pause everything for a second. Grab a piece of paper, a pen, and write down honestly, my desert today is, name it. Face that reality with faith. Don't deny the pain, but don't surrender to it either. And then do something radical. Be grateful. Yeah, you heard that right. Thank God for the hard season, for the struggle, the silence, the lack, because all of it is producing a weight of glory in you that no one can ever take away. Swap self-pity for trust. Swap why me for what's the purpose, Lord. And watch how your perspective shifts, how your faith gets stronger, and how heaven starts moving. Believe me, the Christian who learns how to pull water out of the desert becomes a walking miracle. They carry something you can't buy, can't teach, you can only live it. That kind of faith, it makes hell tremble. That kind of surrender, heaven honors with power. And that's exactly the kind of Christian God is calling you to be. There are moments when words simply fail. You try to pray, you try to express what's inside, but nothing comes out. Not a single full sentence, not even a cry, just silence. And to a lot of people, that feels like spiritual failure, like maybe you've gone cold, drifted away, or maybe even been abandoned. But here's the real truth. There's a kind of silence that doesn't show a lack of faith. It shows depth, a silence loaded with trust, with surrender, with total reliance on God. And as crazy as it sounds, this silence carries massive weight in the spiritual realm. It screams in the invisible, and hell hears it, because the devil doesn't fear noise, he fears stability. And there's a power in the one who stays quiet, but unshakably firm in God. Romans 8:26 says that the Spirit intercedes for us with groans that words can't express. That means prayer doesn't always need words. Sometimes it just needs your heart. The Holy Spirit translates what your soul can't even put into words anymore. Tears become prayers, sighs become cries, silence becomes declarations of faith. Heaven understands the language of pain, exhaustion, and silent hope. And when a Christian stays firm, even when they can't say a single word, their very existence shouts to the heavens, God is still my refuge, I'm still here. This kind of spiritual maturity doesn't come overnight. It's born in fire, in loss, in moments where you realize you've lost control over everything and still choose to trust. It's not a show. It's not fake spirituality for an audience. It's real faith, the kind of trust that doesn't need applause, doesn't need an audience. Just the certainty that God hears, even when you can't say a thing. This silence, packed with faith, disarms hell, because the enemy feeds off panic, off desperate noise. But when he comes across a Christian who is still, calm, and steady, he gets confused. How do you fight someone who doesn't flinch in the absence of answers? Think about it. How many times have you left a prayer feeling guilty because you couldn't say what you wanted, because you cried too much, or because you just sat there, not even knowing how to start? The truth is, to God, that was more than enough. He sees the heart. He lives in the broken-hearted. He answers the silence that comes from a surrendered heart, what the world calls weakness. Heaven calls authority, because a true worshipper doesn't go silent out of defeat, but out of reverence. They don't speak less because they've given up, but because they've finally understood God is in control, even when nothing has changed yet. So today, if all you feel is the weight of silence, don't fight it. Use it. Take time today. Turn off your phone. Shut the door. Take out the earbuds. Don't bring a list of requests. Don't come with complaints. Just show up. Just be there. You don't always need to talk. Sometimes you just need to be. And there, in the deepest silence, God starts healing wounds that words could never touch. He starts rebuilding things you didn't even know were broken, because it's in the silence that heaven works in secret. Today's challenge is simple, but life-changing. Take 10 minutes, just 10, and get alone with God. Complete silence. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, And from the bottom of your heart say, Lord, even without words, I'm still waiting on you. Make this a habit, a refuge, an altar, because this kind of connection changes spiritual atmospheres, renews your strength, and shapes a Christian the devil has no clue how to fight. Not because they scream loud, but because they stand firm even when everything inside is dead silent. And in God's kingdom, that's real power. Holding on to grudges is like drinking poison every day, expecting someone else to die from it. It's a destructive, sneaky, silent trap. You carry the pain, replay the words, relive what happened, and without realizing it, you get chained to invisible shackles that are suffocating your soul. The problem is that prison doesn't hurt the one who hurt you. It hurts you. Bitterness isn't emotional protection. It's spiritual sabotage, and the devil knows that. He knows that a bitter heart is a vulnerable heart. That's why he works overtime to keep those wounds open, feeding memories, twisting thoughts, and distorting intentions. Bitterness is one of hell's most effective weapons, but it loses all its power when it faces a heart that knows how to forgive fast. In Colossians 3:13, the command is crystal clear, direct, and non-negotiable. Forgive as Christ forgave you. It doesn't say if you feel like it. It doesn't say when the other person deserves it. It simply says, forgive. And here's one of the biggest spiritual truths most people ignore. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a decision of obedience. Forgiving doesn't mean what happened wasn't painful. It means the grace of God in you is bigger than the offense. The Christian the devil fears the most isn't the one who's never been hurt. It's the one who refuses to live inside the pain. It's the one who chooses healing, even without an apology. It's the one who understands that holding on to resentment is choosing to delay their own destiny. Forgiving quickly is an act of spiritual warfare. It breaks the cycle of blame, victimhood, and wounded pride. When you forgive, you're declaring, my soul is way too valuable to stay hostage to something that's already in the past. You're announcing to the spiritual realm that the offense has zero power over you now, and that brings freedom. And where there's freedom, there's authority. The devil hates that, because he knows that a free Christian has power in their words, in their prayers, and in their walk. Resentment keeps you tied to the past. Forgiveness opens the path to purpose. But maybe right now you're hearing this with a heavy heart. Maybe the wound is still fresh, still raw, still painful. Maybe what they did to you was unfair, cruel, downright unforgivable by human standards. And yet the calling remains the same. Forgive as Christ forgave you. Jesus forgave before anyone even said, I'm sorry. He forgave knowing some would never admit what they did. He forgave with blood, with pain, with grace. And that's the example he left us, not as a burden, but as a cure. So today, look inward, be brave, be honest. Ask yourself, who still has access to my thoughts because of the pain they left? Who still has power over me, even in their absence, simply because I haven't released them? And understand this, your healing doesn't depend on them. It doesn't depend on an apology that may never come. Your healing comes from your decision to stop letting the past dictate your future. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. It's for your freedom, your peace, your new beginning. So today's challenge is deep, but necessary. Send a message, say a prayer, or if it's not possible to reach them yet, release it in your heart. Talk to God about that person. Say, I choose to let go of this weight. Don't wait for the feeling, act by faith. Because the Christian who forgives quickly shuts doors the devil has been trying to keep open for years. And when you do that, your heart becomes fertile ground where heaven moves freely. A healed heart becomes a channel for miracles. And it's exactly this kind of Christian, light, free, and obedient, that hell fears and heaven raises for mighty purposes. There's a kind of Christian hell doesn't fight, it avoids. And that's the Christian who fasts with purpose, with understanding, and with reverence. They don't fast out of tradition, religion, or to bargain blessings from God. They fast because they've realized there are battles that will never be won with words or good intentions alone. They are only won through surrender. In Matthew 17:21, Jesus made it clear, this kind doesn't come out except by prayer and fasting. There are spiritual prisons, emotional addictions, invisible chains that only break when you silence the cravings of the flesh to hear the voice of the Spirit. Real fasting isn't just skipping food. It's refusing to feed whatever's been controlling your heart. It's an act of war against pride, against distractions, against vanity, against anything stealing your focus from God's presence. Fasting with purpose is standing in front of what's been ruling over you and saying, you don't own me anymore. It's putting the flesh on mute so the Spirit can speak louder. It's letting go of something that's totally fine, just so you can touch what's eternal. And hell hates that, because every sacrifice made in faith produces growth, sensitivity to God's voice, and spiritual authority. And Christians with authority can't be manipulated by circumstances. People who fast with understanding don't treat sacrifice like some empty ritual, but like a living declaration. My hunger for God is greater than any other hunger. And the more you dive into this discipline, the stronger your mind becomes against distractions, temptations, and patterns that weaken you. You start hearing God more clearly. You start noticing open doors where before there was only confusion. You start feeling peace where there used to be anxiety, because real fasting resets your spirit, repositions your soul, and brings order to your internal chaos. It's like clearing the altar of your life, so heaven's fire can fall again. Here's a truth not everybody likes to hear. Not everything pulling you away from God is sin. Sometimes it's just too much of the okay stuff that numbs your spirit. Social media, Netflix, mindless habits, overeating, endless distractions. All these things can take up so much space that God's voice becomes nothing more than a faint whisper. That's why fasting is so powerful. It removes from the center what you've been feeding too much and puts God back on the throne of your heart. So today, look at your routine with honesty. Ask yourself, what's been dominating my time, my attention, my energy? Maybe it's something nobody else sees, but you know it's eating you from the inside. Pick one thing, one habit, one pleasure, one craving that you know is too much, and let it go for 3 days. But don't just stop doing it. Turn every craving into prayer, every impulse into worship. Every time you miss it, say, Lord, I choose to seek you more than this, and hold the line. Because this isn't just sacrifice, it's strategic worship. Here's today's challenge, straight up, write it down, on paper or on your phone. Today, I fast from, and do it. Make it an altar of surrender. Not because you want something from God, but because you want more of God. Because when your sacrifice becomes worship, heaven moves and hell loses yet another battle. This is the kind of Christian the devil fears, the one who fasts with a burning spirit and a surrendered heart. Because wherever there is sacrifice with purpose, there is victory with authority. There's a type of faith hell simply cannot manipulate. Faith that doesn't depend on what you see, feel, or understand, but faith that keeps marching, even in the dark. In John 20:29, Jesus looked at Thomas and dropped a truth bomb that still echoes today. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. This isn't some blind leap. It's confidence. Confidence that doesn't lean on signs, confirmations, or guarantees, but trusts the word of God like stepping onto a floor that hasn't even shown up yet. This faith doesn't need explanations, just direction. And when it finds that direction in God, it moves, even when the winds are blowing the other way. This kind of faith moves mountains no one else can see. It survives tear-soaked nights with its eyes locked on heaven. It kneels down to pray, even when it feels like answers haven't come in months. It stays standing when everyone else has given up. When life screams, "It's over," and heaven seems silent, this faith whispers back, "No, God hasn't changed just because my situation did." This kind of faith terrifies hell because it stands strong against the most subtle attacks. It doesn't fall for fear. It doesn't bow to emotions. It's stable because it knows God's character. Real faith doesn't begin when things are clear. It's born when logic runs out, when resources are gone, when promises seem far, when heaven is quiet and every step feels heavy. The faith the devil fears the most is the one that obeys, even while bleeding. The one that, even confused, still declares, "I know who I believe in." This faith isn't loud, but it's solid. It doesn't need an audience, just direction, and that's why heaven moves for it. Because faith without seeing is pure obedience, and that's what touches God's heart. How many times have you felt like quitting because nothing was happening like you expected? How many times have you doubted what God told you because the promise took too long? The truth is, we've all been there. But this is when real faith has to show up, not when everything makes sense, but when nothing does. Faith isn't waiting to feel secure. It's moving forward even when you feel insecure, trusting that God's already waiting at the finish line, even when you can barely see the next step. Hell can't handle that kind of mindset because it leaves no room for emotional manipulation. People who walk by faith don't need favorable winds. They keep going, even straight into the storm. So today, challenge your logic. Don't wait for things to change before you start living like someone who believes. Dress like the promise is yours. Speak like you already have it. Pray like it's already done. Walk like you've already seen it. Because God shows up for those who act out of conviction, not convenience. He moves for those who say, "I believe even when I don't see." Write this down somewhere. You'll see it every day. Say it out loud. Preach it to your doubts, your fears, your impossibles. Because every time you choose to believe despite the circumstances, a wall falls, an enemy backs off, a spiritual chain breaks, and hell realizes there's someone here who lives by faith. And where faith stands firm, fear has no room. Where there's conviction, the devil has no voice. Because faith that walks in the dark becomes the light that guides the invisible. And heaven moves powerfully for those who walk even when they can't see, but are certain that God is leading the way. If you made it this far, let me congratulate you from the bottom of my heart. This shows you're not just watching content, you're chasing growth, transformation, and wisdom through the light of Christian faith. What an honor to walk this journey with people like you, people who are choosing to go deeper, grow stronger, and become the kind of Christians who make a real difference, both spiritually and in the real world. Now, I want to invite you to leave a comment down below. Share which part hit you the hardest, or what action you've already decided to take. And if you're not sure what to write, just type, "I'm grateful to God." That way, I'll know you stuck with me till the end, and that this message truly reached your heart. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because we've got tons of videos that will strengthen your faith, open your spiritual eyes, and help you walk with boldness in the face of life's challenges. Hit that bell so you never miss a new message. And before you go, check out the 2 videos that'll pop up right here on the screen. If this one spoke to you, the next ones will take you even deeper in your journey with God. May the Lord keep blessing you, shaping you, and strengthening you day after day. See you in the next video.